Hello again. Nice day out again. I just want to start by saying that this Ebola stuff can be scary, I guess. I'm not scared by Ebola, but that's because I'm not worried about dying. I don't want to get sick either. So that's the extent of my fear, is getting sick, and because I've been sick recently, and being helpless is terrible, so that's no fun. But there's a lot of talk about fear porn, and we need to keep things in perspective. I don't want to scare anybody, but some things you need to talk about. If the government's going to be in your face about different things, then you need to look into it and know where you should stand on it. Because if they surprise you with something, you might just go along with something that's not going to be helpful for you. Like, look, you need to get a vaccination, and then you just do it because you didn't think about it. You didn't look into it before they sprung it on you. Okay. So in that respect, this talk about Ebola, my speculation on it, I'm not trying to scare anybody. I don't think Make-Hay Electric is trying to scare people into viewing his videos even. I know he monetizes, and he does what you could call it fear porn, but he's just keeping you up to date on the propaganda. What's wrong with being up to date on things? Okay, so that's not necessarily fear porn, and I'm not saying anybody actually said that he was fear porning. But we need to separate out what's fear porn. I mean, really, the mainstream media is the fear porn people. But there's some people on YouTube doing it too. So what I'm doing, I'm going to tell you straight up that I'm a conspiracy theorist. It's fun to do. I'm also a truther, and that's where conspiracy theories kind of come from. Like, you don't want to be lied to, then you kind of have to ponder on what people are telling you. Like, I know the media is lying a lot of the time, and there's an agenda behind their lies. I don't necessarily know what it is, but I know for a fact that they're lying. So based on that being the truther part, I know that truth. Based on that, I need to, just as a good citizen, need to kind of figure out what the game is. What's their agenda? And if they get me to act like go off to war, is that a good thing? Are they lying to me? I mean, you see what I'm saying? You kind of have to, if you want to do the right thing and not get misled, you need to be up on all their propaganda. So that's not really fear porning. It's more trying to stay ahead of the game. So Make-Hay Electric did a video about another video about Ebola, and he asked for our comments and whatever. And one guy with a bunch of numbers for a name, he said I'm going to read a little bit. Sorry, I don't give the globalists' New World Order Ebola ball and cups game a second thought. Well, I do give it a second thought, because just as I said just a minute ago, if you don't know what their game is, how are you going to know that you're going to react correctly when the time comes? Correctly for your best health and sanity. So I'm not saying everybody has to dive deep into this stuff, but when I throw out speculation, a lot of it's just speculation. I'm not necessarily trying to convince you that I'm right, because I am just speculating, I'm guessing on a lot of stuff. Not trying to convince you. If I was trying to convince you I was right, I would give you lots of links. It's just too much work. So what I'm doing is throwing out what I've come up with as a possibility, as why things are happening this way, and then you can do your own research. And so if I was trying to convince you, I would give you the links. I would hold up the book that proves it, or whatever. Or I would get better screen technology where I could point at stuff on people's videos, but I don't have that technology, and I don't want to download stuff. So I'm not really trying to convince you. I'm just putting out ideas. It's just possibilities, and if things kind of go that way, you can go, oh, okay, well, maybe he was right or whatever. I don't know. I want you to be prepared for when the big lies come. And not worse than the big lies, the actions they make you take based on big lies. I want you to be skeptical when they tell you you have to get vaccinated. So, if you're skeptical, right now you will look into vaccinations. Okay? You should do that. Just for your own health. Do that. Alright, so the guy says he's not buying their game. What did I say? I said, if Africa gets out of hand, that might be all they need to force vaccinations here. They could say, we can't be sure to stop every infected traveler from getting through. So we're going to vaccinate so that if it does show up, we'll be fine. That may be what they're trying to convince us of. Maybe that's what this Texas case is about. To convince us that it's going to get through, regardless of the travel rules. It's interesting. On the one hand, you see the guy from the CDC telling everybody, we got this, everything's fine. When they get through, everything's going to be all right. And we got rules that is going to handle everything. You can see what they're saying. We're saying this, but the story as it unfolds is we get this over here. The guy shows up in Texas. Now he doesn't feel good, goes to the hospital. They said, you're all right, go home. So he goes home, walks around, touches everybody, and then comes back to another hospital. And now he's in critical condition. Okay, so they tell us one thing, but the story unfolds this way, over here. I'm thinking that the story that's unfolding is also planned out, or could be also planned out. Okay? So they're setting up their incompetence, thing that they can point to. We're telling you we got it. The story unfolds whether they don't really have it. So later they'll go, yeah, we were incompetent. Not our fault. It's just incompetence. But the point of it unfolding this way is that I'm thinking they're trying to convince us, without telling us, just through the story happening, they're trying to convince us that they can't stop it from coming in to the country. And also, in the meantime, they're telling us that ISIS is going to deliberately send infected people in. The media is saying this, okay? ISIS isn't telling us this, but the media is. So they're giving us a story that they're not going to be able to stop infected people with Ebola from coming into this country. I'm thinking that they're trying to convince us of that without telling us directly that that's going to be the case. if real events really convince people. So if they engineer real events, like this guy from Texas, I don't know that he's even sick. Okay, they engineer real events, and then they'll point to that supposedly real event and convince us and say, look, we've got this vaccine and we're just going to have to use it because it's getting crazy in Africa. We're not going to be able to stop people from coming in, and we'll be convinced by that time, just from all these little stories that are happening. And then then they roll out the vaccine, and then I imagine it would have to be pretty bad in order for them to say, look, we're going to force you to get the vaccine. So I don't know for sure if they would force us. I would think if they're going that far to convince us that we need a vaccine, that they're probably willing to go far enough and go ahead and enforce it, make it a rule. This is all speculation, like I said. You can be afraid if you want to, but we're just thinking ahead, all right? I don't see any problem with thinking ahead. Okay, so then you can consider what is the agenda? Is Ebola the agenda? Are they trying to kill us? There's two possible agendas. One is simply to separate out the awake slaves. They don't want awake slaves. This is just one possibility. I would be one. They would say, oh, you don't want your vaccine? Well, we're going to put you somewhere else. Separate us out. It's going to be a good number of people that aren't going to get their vaccines. It wouldn't be the majority, I don't think. I guess. I don't know. What do you think? Would it be the majority? I don't know. So that may be the agenda. Separate out the talkative slaves, the non-compliant slaves. They really, when this all shakes out, they want good, compliant slaves. Good, obedient slaves is what they're going to be. Slaves who are so stupid that they don't even believe that they're slaves. Okay, they want... You don't have to be happy. You don't care if you're happy. Just as long as you're convinced that you're not a slave and you do exactly what they say and want. In the end, that's what they're going to want. There's no way they're going to kill us. They don't want to kill us all. There's no way. Then who's going to do stuff? They're not going to do stuff. That's the point of this whole thing. They don't want to do the work. Okay? They want to have fun. That's great. But they don't want to do any of the work. So yeah, no matter how this works out, they definitely want to get the non-compliance out of the way. So that could be just to separate us out. But I doubt it. There's also the problem that people aren't even sure that there's really an outbreak in Africa. I'm going to have to guess that there really is, even though there's some stuff you can point to. But either way, they could create something here, right? Let's pretend that there's no outbreak in Africa. Okay? Should you feel safe now? You still have an insane government. Insane people running our government, that is. So, even if Ebola doesn't exist, should you feel safe? Safe from Ebola, maybe. But that's not going to stop this insane group of people in charge of the government from creating an Ebola outbreak here, or the appearance of an Ebola outbreak here, or enough fear of an outbreak here to necessitate forced vaccinations. And then from there, we're off and running with whatever it is that they want. Either separating people out or giving people who get vaccinated some sort of condition that either kills them or makes them really stupid or I don't know what. Something, this isn't for nothing, is what I'm saying. They're not doing this all just for fear, is my guess. I'm not saying they couldn't, right? There's that speculation too, that they're basically allowed to be in charge because they whip us up into a fearful state which some sort of alien group feeds off of. Okay, that may be true, but I'm still guessing that they're really going to do something with the vaccine. And Ebola itself is engineered. Now, this is one of the things I can't convince you of because I'm not going to go through all the evidence that I've seen and present it to you to convince you that Ebola is something that the United States created or the crazy people created. So if they can create that, as I believe, then they can create something that they put in the vaccine that does something that they want it to do. And I don't know what it is yet. Some people think it turns you into a zombie and you go around eating people. That guy in Florida had something, I don't know what it was. That could have just been an illness. Maybe. I tell you what though, if it's really zombies and they're really going to come and bite me, I'm really going to kill them and I'm not going to be worried about it. I would be sad that they're zombies and now I just have to kill them. There's no way around it. But either way, now they've created a condition where I'm doing the job for the crazy people. I've created the condition where I'm doing the job for them, where I'm killing you and I. You're going to kill, you got your family huddled, and some guy comes up to you and starts gnawing on your daughter. You know you're going to kill that guy. Okay? Let's not pretend. But there's a chance that it doesn't, whatever they're engineering the vaccine to do may not be, it may be like I said in my last video, where just you're disfigured and you're slowly dying inside and you just need food and you're walking around and you could infect people and people don't want to get near you, but you're like, I need food, and they're like, just stay away, and then it comes to loggerheads and then the guns are drawn. I mean, then we're doing it, we're killing each other once again. We're doing what the crazy people want us to do. That's what it all comes down to. They get us to do what they want us to do. If there's too many of us, they don't, like whoever, say the Queen is one of them. The Queen isn't going to go around and mow down 2 billion people, say. She's not going to go out and do it. What she'll do is tell her staff to create a media campaign that convinces the people of the world to kill off 2 billion of their own. Okay, that's what they're going to do. And that's maybe what this is. Okay, that's what I'm saying. And I think it's fair to speculate about it, just in case that it's real. If it's not real, okay. Well, it's a thought experiment. Look at it that way. Don't be afraid. I'm not afraid of looking into things that may or may not exist, may not be a reality. That's not scary. You know, when I die, I'll be fine. I just don't want to be sick in the meantime. That would be scary. But I don't like being in a position where I'm powerless. Okay, so I would like to avoid that up until the time of my death, the position where I'm powerless. Some jerk is telling me what to do. I'd like to avoid that. And it may be, if I speculate enough, I can figure out what their designs are and avoid that situation. Or I could just be a compliant slave. And I could do it that way. And do whatever they want and avoid the beatings or whatever it is. I don't know. I think it's worth wondering about. Okay? It's not fear porn always, necessarily. I'm not making a dime on this stuff. That I know of. I don't know if it helps anybody either. I'll put out scenarios, and if they click in your head, or if it just gets you to research something, look into it deeper, then good. And maybe you'll be prepared when they knock on your door and try to convince you to do this or that. Maybe you'll know the right thing to do then. I don't know necessarily what it is, but maybe you will, and that'll be good. Good for you. Good for you, Jack. Okay, good day.
Whatever, white people.